Birdie King is a 1982 golf game that reimagines the joy of golf through trackball controls. Forget swinging clubs, how about poking your ball all the way to the green? Trust me, the one thing more satisfying than a hole-in-one is pushing the ball back and forth 1,000 times as you struggle to sink it. But that's Birdie King, and when it comes to golf games, this might just be the worst and the best ever made. It's hard to turn away from any game with a novelty controller, even when it's golf, and Birdie King from Taito's eGret 2 Mini Paddle and Trackball expansion set is no exception. While getting your ball in the cup is the overall goal, the true challenge comes from judging how hard to hit the real-life ball controller, along with navigating wind, water and sandpits, plus the birdie. That's right, if you attack the bird in Birdie King, you'll be penalised with a shorter shot. But sometimes the bird will attack you. Without provocation, it will just move your ball into a sandpit, which really makes you want to attack the bird. Yet, no matter how many times I overroll or underroll, the frustration hasn't outweighed my enjoyment, and a need to master the trackball. And that's also despite everything else I dislike about golf. Birdie King is an irritating arcade game by today's standards, but putting that to one side, it's a great example of how golf as a sport has served as a good yardstick for the evolution of video games. And don't get me wrong, I hate golf. It's a painfully repetitive and tedious game with a very steep difficulty curve, and I don't like it. But when most sports become video games, all you get is this manic button mashing, which really just removes all the fun from something like running, or sumo wrestling, or from gambling on horse races. Golf isn't like that. In fact, if you take the real world variables of the game, distance, trajectory, wind speed, etc., the numbers jump over to a simple video game like magic. So despite disliking golf as a game that's been reserved for the richest and boringest people on earth, I've somehow become entranced by the golf game experience and how it's been recreated time and time again over the past 40 plus years. Take Nintendo's Golf, for example. Early enough in gaming history that it took the whole name for itself. This is a quintessentially loathsome golfing experience, recreating the sport as closely as possible for the time. Taking control of a proto-Mario kind of guy, you're basically left to your own devices to work out which clubs to use in which situations, across a range of bone-dry courses, some of which still return in Nintendo's golf games today. Especially for the early days of arcades, this is incredibly unexciting. I know it's a golf game, but the stringently simulation-based gameplay leans way too hard into the complexities of the sport, which is not something I want to learn about anyway. You see, the big risk when playing a bunch of games based on a sport that I hate is that I don't know anything about it, and I don't want to know anything about it. Understanding what to do is important, yes, but playing a game without learning is much better. So, with that in mind, I pose the question: will you learn about golf while playing Nintendo's Golf? No. You pretty much need to be an expert before you pick this one up. No doubt to the right player this is a quaint throwback to simpler golfing times, but for anyone else, it's pure golf green kryptonite. Come 1990, arcade golfing ascended to NASCAR's top players golf, one of a handful of SNK bogeys in the genre, with an ugly bunch of playable characters giving off a real Trumpian vibe. Perhaps the most studious of all golf games, you'll be given a verbal explanation of each course layout by a female caddy before hitting the fairway, although you can't play as a female golfer in hardly any of these games.
Be careful of out of bounds and pond on tee shot. Must carry over second pond to reach green.
Here, your risk of learning about golf is frighteningly high. But with gameplay this restrained, you're unlikely to retain any information, and the surprisingly harsh difficulty leaves you feeling downtrodden and remembering why you hate golf. As a fan of video games, primarily arcade ones, obviously I'd be more at home playing something a bit more experimental with the golf concept, something less literal. Obviously, we don't want to stray too far from the core golf concept, otherwise you may as well just play something that's actually fun and good. I'm not saying Breath of the Wild is a golf game, but the thought has crossed my mind. Putter Golf is a bizarre example, but still damningly golfy. This Mega Drive golf game was available to subscribers of the Sega channel. a very early Netflix but video games type experience that offered small games like this one, downloadable via dial-up internet for a monthly fee. It's fun for about 5 minutes, but it's hard as nails from the second hole, and while knocking back a few drinks and sharing the pain of this with mates would be a great laugh, playing alone is just a bit whatever. Will you learn about golf? Nope. So it gets a recommendation from me.
Monkey golf?
Sticking with Sega, you can get right into the thick of non-golf with Super Monkey Ball's golf mini game, which I'm sure is a favourite of many. More billiards than golf though, I feel it carries over too little of the regular game's characteristics to be an outright classic, like Monkey Target. It's almost like playing Super Monkey Ball, but slowed down, as your success relies so much on angles and speed, but now input one step at a time. Ugh. Honestly, I was really just hoping that the Monkey Ball team could dig deep and do something with golf that only they could. Monkey Ball Jr. Unfortunately, Super Monkey Ball Jr.'s golf is much the same. It's good, technically, but it could have been great. No bananas? Just not enough elements from the core mode brought into the golf minigame here. It goes without saying, these 3D graphics on Game Boy Advance are incredible. But also, Nintendo Official Magazine. Says it right there on the box. And anyone know why there's a sticker on the box about Nintendo Official Magazine? Will you learn about golf? You might need to do a bit of maths, but nothing worse than that. Now, despite what I said a few moments ago about golf translating to video games better than many other sports, I can't help but observe they all make the same mistake. Whether they're weird or formulaic, what's all this reaction time stuff about? Waiting for a bar to fill up and then smacking a button at the right time. Golf is nothing like that. Think about it. You decide to make a golf game, your first mistake, and then you make hitting the ball feel more like blinking at the right moment than swinging a club. In golf, you don't react to anything. It's all about applying the perfect amount of force for the perfect amount of time. And this could be better realised by letting you press and charge your shot and then releasing at the right moment. It would still involve reacting, but it would feel more like golf. And how have I worked this out whilst years of arcade game developers have completely missed it? I've never played golf, but this is proof that I'm learning more and more about golf all the time. Of course, I understand there are many more golf games than those you find in arcades and on the few retro consoles that I own. Maybe there is some super obscure golf video game out there that barely anybody's played that just captures the joy of real-world golf perfectly. For example, Wii Sports is surely the most played version of golf in the world. Without a doubt, more people played Wii Golf on Christmas Day 2006 than have ever played real golf in the entire history of the sport.
Nice shot!
And as we know, the most popular things are always the best things. The current incarnation of the game, Nintendo Switch Sports Golf, is much the same.
Nice shot!
But with smoother controls and graphics. It offers a near-flawless at-home golfing experience, not least of all because its casual nature never lets things get too golfy to begin with. But let me tell you, as low stakes as things are in Wii Sports, nothing gets me more furious than my mistakes and near misses in Nintendo Switch Sports Golf. It's something about the familiarity of motion control that makes me feel absolutely livid for failing, like it's just moving around, and I can't even do that right. But will you learn about golf in Nintendo Switch Sports Golf? Well, yes, as you are literally swinging your arms around like a golf club, it's kind of hard not to do that. But you might learn just as much, if not more, about style, as I have done, sinking more than 35 hours into this game to unlock the stupid clothes and other things that you get for playing online with this game. And it's worth noting that once the online functionality for Nintendo Switch Sports is shut off, as it inevitably will be at some point down the road, these online-only unlockables will be lost completely, which is really just the stupidest thing that modern games suffer from. But nothing to do with golf, necessarily. Anyway, we should stick to something from the arcades, just because. So, if you want the best possible arcade golf experience, look no further than NeoTurf Masters, also known as Big Tournament Golf. The presentation here is nothing short of premium. I have to be honest, when I downloaded this as a joke, I was breathtaken by how good it looks. Dare I say it, this is SNK's best looking game? I mean, there's UI design and then there's Neo Turf Masters. And it has a great soundtrack too, unmistakably composed by Takushi Hiyamuta. It's almost like hearing the Metal Slug crew have gone golfing.
Birdie! I did it!
With 4 18-hole tournaments to choose from, each with their own subtle characteristics, it's easy to see why this was a coin guzzler back in the day and a steal on digital for golfing obsessives like me. This is lovingly crafted. I can feel the grass between my toes and the wind on my face. I can smell the balls. Will you learn about golf playing Neo Turf Masters? Yes. And worse than that, you'll enjoy learning about it too. This game is a total betrayal and extremely dangerous to the golf averse, which I can't recommend highly enough. However, Neo Turf Masters does suffer from the same reaction-based gameplay that I criticised just a moment ago. So with that in mind, Birdie King is the best golf game ever made. And here's why. As you carefully roll the trackball to swing your club, the amount of speed you apply and for how long is absolutely key to success. Just like golf. There has never been a better one-for-one representation of the sport than this. And as I step away from the trackball controller, more angry than ever for yet again trying 5 minutes of Birdie King, I'm reminded how truly awful golf is and the world feels right again. But that's just me. Maybe putters golf is the best. Or maybe you shouldn't spend so much time criticising something that you're never going to like anyway. Sometimes you just don't like something, and that's okay. But nobody cares. In fact, it's the things you don't like which you should try to understand more, because then you might learn something new. Did I learn about golf? Probably not. But what I have learned is that you don't need to enjoy something to understand it. And you don't need to understand something to enjoy it. Thanks for watching.